Audacity breeds hope. Audacity breeds inspiration. Audacity breeds transformation. It inspires, it influences, it empowers. So when you have the audacity, come on, man. It not only transforms and changes somebody else's life by them seeing you have the audacity, but it transforms and changes you into being the person. It cultivates you into being the person you was created to be. Yo, welcome back to Practice, the podcast where we fuse research and culture to help you develop the mindsets, the habits, the skills that you need in order to live out your purpose with confidence. I'm your host, Dr.Rees. Now it's time to get better, y'all. Let's grow.
We talking about practice. Not a game. We talking about practice.
Practices are meant to be competitive. They're meant to be competitive. If your practices are more competitive than the games themselves, you're doing the wrong thing.
Yo, it is with immense energy. Like, I am pumped. Like, I was writing the script and doing the research for this, and I was like, I'm about to get buckets. Like, if you know that feeling of when you're excited to do something and you like, obviously for me as a hooper, it's like get buckets, but the blessing that I have to be able to speak life into folks' life, to empower, to motivate, to inspire is like, it's just fire to me. And I'm grateful to be a vessel. Kendrick Lamar said something. He was like, I'm not a rapper. I'm a vessel. Like that's it. Like I definitely can't rap. I'd rather be a singer. I'm an R&B chick. Anyways, but like I'm a speaker, but I'm a vessel to be used to empower, to inspire, to bless you with some stuff to motivate you to keep going. Now, don't see me as a motivational speaker because we out here, I'm speaking from a motivation, but I need you to take action. Hence, that self-efficacy that we talk about, right? Like, is you have the ability to take action on the motivation. So this right here is what I need you to take action on. Like this episode, I need you to take action on what you hear. And this is going to come loud, not loud, but live. I'm coming to you trying to really, I'm trying to pump you up. All right. So we talking about audacity. We are talking about the power of audacity. And the quote for this episode is, your audacity can change somebody's life. Your audacity can change somebody's life. Like you being willing to be audacious, you being willing to have the audacity can change and will transform somebody's life. But if you don't have the audacity to have the audacity, somebody's life will be less impacted because it was up to you to do that impacting. You might be like, whoa, hold on, shawty. But here's what I'm saying. And the reason why I'm saying this is because what I'm going to talk about today is we're going to hear about some stories from some folks who like did some audacious things in that they were crafted in a way, their stories were crafted in a way that gives us hope, that gives us inspiration. Now, let me get going. Audacity breeds hope. Audacity breeds inspiration. Audacity breeds transformation. It inspires, it influences, it empowers. So when you have the audacity, come on, man. It not only transforms and changes somebody else's life by them seeing you have the audacity, but it transforms and changes you into being the person. It cultivates you into being the person you was created to be. But if you don't have the audacity, then something will be missing. So you might be like, oh, why audacity? So we've been talking about authenticity. And audacity is one of the components of the authenticity equation. And I love this word for so many reasons because audacity is like, when we were kids, people used to, and I talked about this right in a couple episodes ago, people used to be like, she has audacity to do. And even if you Google audacity, there's a part where it comes up like he had the audacity to define his boss. Like it's going against the grain. It's doing something out of the norm. It's being bold. Audacity is being audacious. It's a disregard for normal restraints. And the reason why I love this, not because I'm defiant, but because confidence is something that usually goes against the grain. Confidence is something that people in society usually are like, whoa, hold on, whoa. Like, they don't want you to be confident. Like, don't be too confident. Don't be too loud. Don't be too you. Don't be too anything. And being audacious is being too something, which makes me think of a story. I was in high school and I had this crew. I called it the Two Fly Crew. I just was always trying to create some type of community in something and give myself nicknames. Like, I just am a fan of it. And my name in the crew was Too Fresh or Too Famous. Too Fresh. It was one of the two. Too Fresh. And because I really loved Famous. It was Too Famous. There was a brand called Famous, right? Like, I don't know if it was a skater brand, and I had like the sticker on the back of my car. Hilarious. But I bring that up because I don't remember why I bring that up. I don't remember why I brought up the story because it took me so many different places. Maybe Audacity. Yes. Right? Like, no. I don't remember. So we're just going to disregard that story unless the reason comes back up. But I'm just going to leave it in here because now you know that I try to start a crew. And I used to, one of my nicknames was Too Famous. But like, nobody called me that at all. So there's that. Anyways, Audacity. Audacity is something that a lot of people will say, like, how dare you think that you can be, and real quick, what breaks my heart is there are people in this world on the other side of this that has the audacity to look at somebody in the eye and tell them, how dare you think that you're good enough to do this? Like, that's the other side of audacity. Like, audacity goes both ways. It's like a double-edged sword. Like, some people pick up audacity and really use it to harm other people. But I want us to use our audacity to empower, to inspire, to influence, to motivate, and transform other people. Right? Like, some people do it to be mean and malicious and just outright like, and will tell somebody, how dare you think that you can be those things, that you're not good enough to be that, or you're not worthy. You're like, they have the audacity to utter these words out of their mouth. But for you, what we're talking about here today is you having the audacity to be confident. You have the audacity to be authentic. You have the audacity to walk in your purpose. You have the audacity to execute your gifts and your skills and your talents. You have the audacity to be kind. You have the audacity to be bold and welcome somebody else in. You have the audacity to build community. You have the audacity to be patient. All of those things that go against the grain require audacity. And without you having an audacious spirit, a disregard for normal restraints where the world tells you, no, don't be those things, right? The world is going to tell you that, but I'm here to tell you, bump that. Because society doesn't want you to be confident. Society doesn't want you to be an audacious person who is empowered to do great things. The norm is not to do that. The norm is for you to just fit in, settle, chill out, okay. The norm is for you to accept whatever comes your way. The norm is for you to just take whatever life gives you and just, not only is it the norm, but it's most accepted, which makes it the norm, which makes it society. And what I'm saying is societal impact. It's a societal vibe, a societal energy. So anytime somebody speaks up, anytime somebody stands up, anytime somebody goes against something, right, then they're like, whoa, who do you think you are? And that is the premise of what I'm saying here today is I need you to be like, I know I'm this. I know who I am. I know whose I am. I know what I stand on. I know my gifts. I know my purpose. I know my worth. And that's exactly why. That's the why. So here's this. Goodness gracious. Okay, so here's this, right? So I want you to think, there are two stories that I want to talk about that empower the thought process that audacity is important to your purpose. That audacity is important to confidence. And that's the connection again that I want to make. Sorry, before I go into this is right. Like audacity is a part of authenticity because the world is going to tell you, who are you that you think that you can be you? Who are you that you think that you can be you? You think you're better than us because that you get to be you? Like, absolutely. I don't think I'm better than you. I'm just trying to be better than the me that the world is trying to train me to be. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's that part. And without audacity, you won't be authentic. And without authenticity, you won't be confident. Without audacity, you won't be authentic. And without authenticity, you won't be able to be confident. And so having an audacious mindset and spirit that's in alignment with who it is that you're created to be is going to empower you to see every single thing that you've gone through as something that is supposed to be, something that was supposed to happen. Something like, you may not know the why you're going through what you're going through or why you went through what you went through, but then there's something you can pull out of it because of the psychological mindset of mental toughness, of being a high performer, like we talked about, that you have. You're going to see all these different things and you're going to succeed despite. Because you have the audacity and because you have that mindset, you're going to succeed despite. So I'm going to tell you two stories about folks who succeeded despite the things that they went through that they didn't understand. So the first story is, are you familiar with Bethany Hamilton? So Bethany Hamilton, she's a surfer from Hawaii. She has a movie out called Soul Surfer. The movie came out over 20 years ago now at this point. So white woman, surfer in Hawaii. She was probably like high school. She was homeschooled at the time. But she was a pro surfer. So she was out one day, her and her family surfing, and her and a couple of her friends and whatever, they were surfing. And a shark came up. Whoa, bruh, boy took her whole arm off. And so I was watching this movie a couple days ago with our son, and I had been telling him to watch the movie for a couple reasons. One, because like he's a fan of water and wants to surf and learns about sharks and all these different things. And I'm like, yo, I think this movie would be great as a source of inspiration, to inspire him to just continue to proceed and persist, right? But also it's just a good movie overall. But the thing about movies and movies that are based on true stories, we sometimes hear story in testimony or story and forget that somebody actually had to go through that. Like I can't stand, like I used to give my testimony or share certain things or whatever, and people are like, oh man, what a beautiful story, what a great day. Like I had to live that. It wasn't beautiful when I was living it. And sometimes it still don't feel beautiful and whatever. And I think we forget that we hear stories and forget that somebody had to endure through the thing that you describe as beautiful or powerful, right? Somebody had to go through that specific thing. And so we're sitting down and we're watching the movie the other day, and he's just like, he's enamored, right? He's looking, he's watching. And one of my favorite lines that she says, I don't need it to be easy. I just need it to be possible. I don't need it to be easy. I just need it to be possible. And the reason why this is so important is because when you fixate your mind, like we talked about a couple episodes ago, about being able to resist and be resilient and be hopeful and be optimistic, you're like, I don't need easy. I just need possible. And if you have a sense of knowing something is possible, that influences you to be audacious. And so she proceeds to have her arm bitten off by a shark while she's in high school and being a pro surfer. So imagine being in the midst of doing something you love and want to do, and then bang, tragedy strikes. And you like, yo, what? Like, as an athlete, as a surfer, you know what I'm saying? Perceivably beforehand, she needed both arms to do this. Right. And so she's like, yo, how? God, why? Why am I going through this thing? And here's where I need you to catch on to the story, right? She's trying to figure out, I've been destined to do this. I've done all these things. I've trained hard. I've worked hard. I show up. I do the things I'm asked to do. I listen to my parents, all those different things, right? I'm practicing. I'm not mean, all these right things that you think like I'm doing it right. I'm doing the thing that's supposed to be done. And then all of a sudden tragedy strikes in a way that you're like despair, adversity. How do I? But here's what I think is so amazing is the person that she was, and I only know her from the movie, so I don't know her personally, obviously, but the person that she crafted herself to be beforehand helped her develop this hardworking mindset, this resilient mindset prior to the tragedy. So one thing I'm throwing at you right now is, are you prepared? Because I've said this before, I'm going to say it again. You're not going to rise to the occasion. You're going to fall to the level of your preparation. So she didn't know that all of this challenge was going to come her way. She had no idea. When she went out to surf that day, she was like, ooh, cool, I'm in the water doing my thing like always. It was a normal day. But that normal day changed her life. Now, she goes to this adversity, and while she's in the midst of it, she tries. She has the audacity to try. She goes back out on the water and she practices. She gets back on her board and she's trying to figure it out. And now here's where I need you to hear. Some folks would be like, well, count her out. You know what I'm saying? She had one arm, boom, it's over. They just count her out. And like, well, that's for her career, right? But she was like, I don't need easy. I just need possible. So she goes out and she tries and she bombs it the first time around. And when she bombs it the first time around, she ends up getting a bunch of letters. And she's like, huh? What? Me? How? And as she gets all these letters from all these people all around the world who saw her go through, who saw her be her, and who saw her go through the tragedy, and who saw her come back on the other side of trying, they were inspired because she had the audacity to get back up on her board and get after it. She had the audacity to say, despite me losing an arm, I'm going to get back up on my board and get back after it. You know what that audacity did? It put her in front of millions of people for them to be like, oh my gosh, if she can, I can. So then she starts getting all these letters from all these people like, yo, I saw you do this and I have one arm and now I'm going to go do this. I saw you do this. I lost a limb and now I'm going to go do this. I saw you do this and I was afraid to do this. So now I'm going to do it. And this is what I talk about all the time is you have to model the whole experience. You need to step out. Vicarious experience is real. People will vicariously live through you and be empowered by you and what you do because you decided to be audacious. Because you decide to be audacious and be the person that you were called to be, somebody else is going to be inspired to do the exact same thing. Despite your tragedy, despite your pitfall, despite the things that you've gone through, because you choose to be audacious, somebody else is going to say, okay, cool, despite. Now, for her, it was a disability of losing an arm, but she decided to turn that into something else and show, I don't need easy, I just need possible. So the audacity in her to get back up on her board and get back out there changed not only her life, but multiple other people's. Then she goes on and says this, I was able to impact more people now than I ever would have with two arms. She says, I'm able to impact more people now with one arm than I ever would have been able to do with two arms. Because her heart was like, as a leader, like I want to show through the grace of God, through my work ethic, through my family, through my community, through all these things, I got back up on my board because I had the audacity to do it. So y'all, what I'm telling you is despite whatever it may be, you need to get back up on your board. I don't know what your board is, but I need you to get back on your board. I need you to get back out there. Now, yeah, she had her low time. Obviously, it was a movie, so it was a short time frame. So you have your time of grieving. You have your time of sadness. You have your time of being frustrated and pissed and mad and all those different things. Have that time. But then I need you to cultivate a heart and a mindset of audacity that says, I'm going to get back up on my board. Get back up on your board. Because when you get back up on your board, you know what that tells them? Okay, cool. It's going to happen. And I get back on my board and then this is how we proceed. So I need you to have the audacity, because when you have the audacity, somebody else is going to be transformed by watching you persevere. Somebody else will be transformed because they watch you persevere. You may not ever meet this person. You might not ever talk to this person. This person may never reach out to you, but they will be transformed by watching you persevere. So if you're watching this, I need you to persevere. I'm showing up, I'm in front of this camera because I persevere, and I hope that it transforms you, and I hope that you have the power to persevere because somebody else is going to watch you in real time persevere. They're going to say, okay, I need them persevere, and then somebody else is going to watch them persevere, and then we just create a perseverance chain, and then cats just persevering was audacious, and they're living out their purpose with confidence because you decided to persevere. So that's what I need you to do. So another story. There's a guy named Hansel Emmanuel. Now, Hansel Emmanuel hits a little bit more home for me for a couple different reasons because he's a hooper. So I need you to Google him. Hansel Emmanuel. He is from the Dominican Republic. He's a young man. He right now is in college. He's like 20 something. But when he was 6 years old, growing up in the Dominican Republic, his dad was a hooper. He always used to watch his dad hoop. One day he didn't go to games with his dad. He ended up staying back home. And when he stayed home, he was hanging out with his friends and he was on a cylinder block. And the cylinder block, he fell off of it and the cylinder block fell on him and on his chest. And when the cylinder block fell on him and on his chest, it ended up cutting off some arteries. And it was like, long story short, they ended up having to amputate his arm. That was the only way. They was like, the only way is we have to take it. So here you have a 6-year-old boy who loved watching hoop and loved playing hoop, loved his dad watching and doing at 6 years old. This is kindergarten, first grade. And in that moment, he's like, well, but why do other people get 2 arms? Is my arm going to grow back? You know what I'm saying? At 6, there's not much that you can make up of things, right? When you're 6, you're still trying to figure it out. And I've talked about this before when it comes to kids, is kids aren't really, I don't perceive super confident because they don't have enough history, but they have a belief. They still believe in so many different things. And so he's like, well, let me go grab a ball and start hooping. So bruh grabs a ball with one arm at 6 years old and starts hooping again. He has the audacity to pick up a basketball again and start hooping again at 6 years old with one arm. Now, fast forward, bruh gets into high school and he's balling. Like he's hooping on cats. And now some people would think, oh, you just force him left because it's his left arm that's gone. So you just think, oh, if you just force bruh left, he ain't going to be able to go left, obviously, because there's no arm and hand there. And the thing about it is like, he got so good that he's like, cool, force me left. And I'm a spin move and do da. And bruh is sick with the ball. Got the ball on a chain with one hand better than some people do with 2. And again, the thing about this is like, I've been watching and reading, listening about this cat story, and I'm inspired. I'm moved. I'm motivated. I'm excited. I'm like, yo, this is it. And so imagine now, so he is put through this unimaginable situation at 6 years old that forces him to be able to, like, now you have to do this. If you want to do this, it's the only way you got to. So do you imagine how hard that was? Growing up as a young boy with a young kid in the DR, and you're just like, resources are low, and then he ends up coming to America to hoop on a high school team to try to defend all odds, to have to battle all these other young kids out here who, have 2 hands. But he developed every single thing else about his game and was like, boom, I'm getting after it. And then became so good that at this moment, bruh's a D1 hooper. At the time of making this video, he is a D1 hooper. So he made it like, here's why this, if you don't understand the magnitude of that, let me break it down real quick. Less than like 1% of hoopers go off to being a Division I college athlete. Less than 1%. It's around 1%. Maybe it's like 3 or 4. It's less than 3% across the board that go off to be collegiately. Less than like 1% go to play pro. So this kid with one arm, and you would think same thing as Bethany, like, oh man, like she's a surfer, she needs both arm balance. And he talked about that. When I first got on the court, like I had to figure out my balance because his body was geared more tight. He was leaning, like that's not suitable, right, for an athlete. So he had to figure out all the other nuances, his footwork, his dribbling. And if you're thinking, and this is where I need you to go watch the clips, the boy could shoot. He could shoot, he could score, he could pass, he plays the whole game. And ain't no D1 school handing out charity scholarships, not charity spots. Like, it's not working like that. So here are two examples with Bethany and Hansel where they were like, I've been given very similar situations. I lost my arm in a tragic situation, but I have the audacity to work my butt off to go get what I want to get. So here's my question to you is, do you have the audacity to work your butt off to go get what you want to get? Do you have the audacity to bet on yourself? Do you have the audacity to believe in you? Do you have the audacity to persevere when it ain't going your way? Do you have the audacity to take an L when it's your turn to take an L? Do you have the audacity to show up after that L? Do you have the audacity, hear me, to have the humility to ask for help in the seasons that you need to ask for help? Because I'm using these two scenarios and both of these folks needed to ask for help. There were things in their life that they could no longer do for themselves, so they had to humble themselves to ask for help. And then they learned how to do it on their own. So there's going to be times you got to humble yourself to ask for help because you don't know, and that's okay. But do you have the audacity to humble yourself, to ask for help, to get the help and knowledge that you need in order for you to be able to do it on your own and succeed at a professional level? Do you have the audacity? And so your humility and authenticity and your confidence and your purpose requires you to have the audacity. So fire. Like I'm telling you, y'all, and for all of us, it may not be having to persevere through a disability. It may be having to persevere through loss and death of somebody tragically. It may be the audacity to be like, man, I couldn't read, and now I need to figure out how to read and write because I want to be an author. I have a hard time speaking, and I need to figure out how do I speak without stuttering because I want to be a speaker. I may be struggling in school, but I want to get my master's so I can be a teacher. I don't care what it is. I don't care what your disability is. I don't care what your setback is. I don't care what your tragedy is. I don't care what it may be. Do you have the audacity to say, I'm going to bet on me. I'm going to persevere. I'm going to get through this, and I'm going to allow this situation to transform me so my audacity can transform somebody else. Yo. So crazy. Okay. So let's break down real quick. You might be like, well, what is audacity? Like, I'm powered, I'm excited, I'm engaged, but like, let's talk a little bit more for the next couple of minutes of like what audacity is. Audacity is belief. I mean, that's really the best way that I can say it. Audacity is belief. And when I have belief and audacity in my mindset and in my being, it empowers me to endure difficult things in order to get what it is that I'm trying to get. So for Bethany and for Hansel, they were like, yo, I'm trying to be pros in this wave. I still have this desire. So just because you went through this situation doesn't mean the situation takes away the desire. The desire is still there. The same way that your gifts are still in you, the desire is still there. So because I still have my gifts and because I still have my desire, that doesn't mean I'm not going to go through life situations. So I have to have the audacity and belief in order to get me through those situations so that way my gifts can still be used and my desire can be met. Nobody ever said that this joint was going to be easy. Nobody ever said that this journey wasn't going to consist of hiccups and mess ups and failures. Nobody ever said that that wasn't going to be the case. But when you have audacity and you have belief and you put those two together, then you say, okay, I know I can endure through those. The other word that comes to mind is self-efficacy. This is the importance of self-efficacy. This is the importance of being able to have the motivation and then mobilize the motivation. Take action on the motivation. Right? The audacity in belief is you taking the motivation and putting it into action. That's what audacity is. Another thing is it's a part of your work ethic. So when you're taking action, it means you're cultivating a work ethic that is based on audacity. And you may not have facts. There's just because you work hard does not guarantee success. It only guarantees growth. And you may have the audacity to work hard and you're seeing growth, but you're not seeing success yet. Do you have the audacity to continue on? You're seeing growth, but you're not seeing success. You're seeing growth, but you're not seeing success. Do you have the audacity to continue? Do you have the audacity to persevere? Do you have the audacity to keep going on? You're seeing the growth, but you're not seeing the success you want to see. Are you going to keep going? The other thing is, a lot of us, myself included, have been underestimated in multiple ways. Like, we could probably sit and talk about all the ways in life that we have been underestimated, where people thought we couldn't achieve something. People thought we couldn't do something. People thought that like you're just not. Like, yeah, that's the power of the underdog, right? And the thought from other folks is like, they think and look at you and you're like, what? And that's where you have to sometimes take that joint, bottle it up and be like, yep, okay, you're underestimating me. And this is where some people get like a chip on their shoulder and they're fueled by that. And this is why it's important to have audacity. Because J. Cole did a video with Hansel. Fire. It's a 40-second long video. But J. Cole is talking in the background and it's called Audacity 2. And it's talking about like it's from his like Dreamer company. And in it, all you see is Hansel dribbling. And then in the background, you see him kind of tired. And J. Cole is he's rapping, like he's doing a poem in the background. And he says, like, they'll see you work. Like, and they're not going to believe, but inside their head, they're going to start thinking like, oh, snaps. Like, will they be able to see it through? And then he says this, the answer to the question is up to you. How far you will go is a question that sits in these people's mind. There are people who are going to watch you do you. Social media created a platform for people to watch you do you. For whatever you put out there, they're watching it. They're watching your journey, the highs, the low, whatever you put out. And there's people who are preying on your downfall. There's people who are underestimating you. There's people who are waiting for you to give up. And they're trying to figure out how far will you go? How long are they going to do that for? They still doing that. You know, they still got that little thing. You know, we hate the little word. You still showing up when nobody else ain't really showing up. And it's you having the audacity because they're wondering how far will they go? And J. Cole said, the answer to the question is up to you. And I'm like, yo, the answer to the question is up to you. When somebody's like, how far will they go? The answer is up to you. It's not up to them. Because you have the audacity and belief in yourself that I'm going to go as far that's required. Having and holding on to audacity means I'm going as far as required for me to go. I'm going as long as I need to go, as far as I need to go. That's what it means to have the audacity despite what anybody else thinks, despite being underestimated, despite being overlooked, despite all the other I'm having the audacity to do it. So think about it like this, audacity is the epitome of betting on yourself. That's all it is. Audacity is betting on yourself. I'm going to choose to bet on me. And the betting part is the investment part, is the belief part, is the work part. Audacity is the epitome of betting on myself. And the investment of the bet is my work ethic, is my mindset, is my continuation, is my perseverance, is my self-efficacy, is my resilience, right? If I'm placing a bet, I'm taking a risk. Literally, betting is risky. It's not guaranteed. You don't know. So if I'm going to bet on me, that means I have the audacity to believe that this bet is going to pay off. The way you see the bet pay off is through the investment in yourself, the investment in your crafts, in your skills, in your talents, in your gifts. That investment in your mindset, the investment in your well-being, the investment of saying, I'm standing on purpose despite, I don't care what nobody else thinks. When you ask how far will I go, I'm going to tell you I'm going as far as required. I'm going as far as necessary. And they're going to sit back and they're going to watch you work and you're going to keep doing you. So here's what I need you to think. I got three things that I need you to do, okay? I need you to write out your story. However that looks like, write it out, talk it out, whatever, to reinvigorate the belief in you. You've been through some things. You've been through a lot of things. You've been through multiple things. I don't know. You've been through so many different things. And you might be thinking, woo, Coach Rees, I've been through so many. Yeah. Because the same way that I just shared with you Bethany and Hansel's story, you have a story that matters. You have a story that's going to give you more energy. You have a story that's going to be like, yo, I've been through some things and look at how I overcame it. Look where I inserted the audacity here. I had the audacity to be me and do me and be who I was created to be here, and I didn't even recognize it. So I need you to write out your story to reinvigorate the belief in you. Second thing I need you to do is to create a routine to empower your self-belief. Because remember, audacity is just having self-belief and betting on yourself. So what kind of mental routine do you need to do? Do you need to write down affirmations or confidence mantras or read it somewhere or take some time to visualize whatever it is that allows you to mobilize your motivation? You got to be able to mobilize. You have to be able to take action on it. So that way, in the midst of having this audacity and showing up and betting on yourself, in the midst of it, you have the ability to not give up because you're going to want to. There's times you take rest, but we don't want you to give up. Okay. And the last thing I need you to do is this. Find stories that are motivating to you. Like find stories and movies and not just stories and movies. Like I'll say it like this. There's Kev on Stage. Dude is hilarious, right? But he posted recently his new show got picked up by BET, Churchy. And I'm watching the video with him and his wife watching the commercial for the first time. And I'm just like smiling, dog, so happy. Like, let's go. I don't know him. I ain't never talked to him. He's spent some time in Washington, which was cool, but I never met him. But like I'm with him and I'm with him through watching his journey. And I know how hard it is to show up every day on social media. And bruh been investing and giving and doing. So when you see somebody pay off or their hard work pay off in some way, to have the audacity to bet on themselves in the way that he does on a daily basis, that inspires me to keep going. So I want you to create like something on social media, TikTok or YouTube and Instagram, all those spaces where you have a folder that just reminds you to keep going, of people who bet on themselves, people who motivate you to just keep moving, to mobilize, to take action. Because it's a big deal, which is going to help you develop and cultivate that self-efficacy through vicarious experience. So if there's times where I'm just like, I go back and I look at this folder and I'm like, okay, boom, it's going to pay off. If he did it for them, he going to do it for me. Won't he do it, Lord? Okay, if he did it for them, he going to do it for me. Lord, I see what you're doing for others. Do it for me, Lord. It's that exact same thing. So I need you to do that because it's powerful for your mind. It's just good for you on the journey to know you're not alone, that there's other people who have gone through things. Nobody got to something they desired without going through something they didn't desire. That's a bar. Nobody got to something they desired without going through something they didn't desire. So if I'm going to get to what I desire, I have to go through a bunch of things that I don't desire, that don't feel good, that I don't want to face. Adversity is going to happen to me if I'm trying to get to something that I don't desire. And this is why it's important for us to surround ourselves with images and thoughts and things that empower us to stay committed, empower you to continue to have the audacity. So you need to look at folks who have the audacity to show up and be themselves. I'm not just talking about Beyonce. I'm talking about the everyday person who was at your job. But Beyonce is one person. She had to go through it. She was one time Sasha Fierce and she wasn't really rocking with being Beyonce. And now look, she Beyonce. You know what I'm saying? So from a Beyonce to the everyday person, you're like, yo, look at how confident they are. I just love how confident they are. I just love how authentic they are, how authentic they show up in this world. They have the audacity to be them. They have the audacity to chase their goals. They have the audacity to live out their mission. They have the audacity to know when and how to say and to use their voice and to advocate. Like they have the wow. So I need you to find every single day inspirations, every day people modeling being their best self. And then you will be that. And you will be that inspiration for somebody else. Gosh darn it. I appreciate y'all for being here. I hope that this message was empowering, inspiring in some type of way to mobilize you to take action on having the audacity to be the person you created to be. Because as we believe here, you are the bag, and you have to have the audacity in yourself, in your gifts, in your talents to bet on yourself. It only happens with audacity. And so I need you to do two things. I need you to, actually three things. I need you to like, subscribe, and share this with somebody else, because I be forgetting to tell y'all to do this. And comment, talk to me, let me know. And then number two, I need you to remember that you are the bag. And number three, I need you to continue with confidence. Until next time, I'm your host. I appreciate you. I love you. Peace.